Welcome to Translogic. I'm Jonathan Buckley. Oftentimes it's the racing world where the latest and greatest in automotive technology is born. So it's no surprise that only a few years ago, a fully electric racing series was launched. It's called Formula E, and we're here on race weekend in Long Beach, California to navigate some of the ins and outs. So I found myself with the CEO of Formula E, Alejandro Agag. Formula E, it's in its infancy. We're in our second season now.
Yep.
For the uninitiated, how would you explain Formula E?
Well, Formula E is very simple. It's a new racing championship with electric cars. Sounds easy, but it wasn't so easy to put together. We started this project about 4 years ago. The aim was to promote electric cars, to make them closer to the people, to have the people see electric cars and then want to buy an electric car, and also to improve the technology of electric cars. Through competition, you can improve technology, and then electric cars will be better, and then hopefully one day, all cars in the world will be electric.
Well, if you look at Formula One as an example, obviously back in the day it was all about prototypes and going further forward, and I guess that hopefully that's what we're going to see with Formula E. Is that the goal?
A lot of the technology innovation comes from the racing. People want to win, and they produce better technology to win the race. But then that technology trickles down to the road cars.
Gotcha.
This is what we want to happen with Formula E.
Mark Preston is the team principal for Team Aguri. Now, tell me exactly, what does team principal mean?
Team principal? I suppose I'm like the managing director or maybe like the coach of a football team or something like that.
Okay, so Formula E, did you join that when it began 2 seasons ago, or last season?
Yeah, as soon as it popped up, we kind of said to Alejandro, we'd like a team, and he said, I'll bring Aguri and off you guys go. We can have one of the teams. So we were the 6th team to announce.
Antonio Felix da Costa is the driver for the Aguri team. You've been racing in Formula E since its inception, haven't you?
Yeah.
How do you find it?
It's pretty cool. I mean, to be part of this since the beginning was a big challenge. To get started with everything, because this is new. It's the first electric championship really going, in the high level of motorsports. So to be involved from the beginning was a challenge, but really good for me.
Well, you've had some successes out there racing with a regular combustion engine. How hard was the transition coming from a combustion engine, open wheel cars, into an electric motor?
It's a big challenge. Not only, to drive the car for one lap fast in quali is okay, but because in the race we have to manage our energy properly. We have to find the quickest race with the energy we have. We have to save a lot during the lap, and over a 20 lap stint or whatever, you need to save a little bit every lap. So there's a lot more going through your mind than just being out in a normal combustion engine.
Has it been a massive change coming from Formula One over to Formula E?
In terms of racing, of course, we still travel around the world, and we race cars on circuits around the world, but everything else is very different. The race cars themselves are race cars, but we have 4 cars instead of 2. The drivers change in the middle of the races.
And that's what, at the halfway mark?
Roughly halfway, yeah. Sometimes depending on where you start on the grid, let's say you've had a bad qualifying and maybe you're at the back, then it's happened a few times in the last year where you save energy and maybe get 1 lap longer. And so you can go 1 lap longer, everyone else pits, and then it's up to you to try and make up time, obviously, in that lap. Sometimes that works, and you might jump a number of people in the pit stops. Other times it doesn't.
How do you like the pit stop strategy? Is that fun?
It's pretty cool, to be honest, because normally we've seen racing like endurance racing where it's the same car and then drivers change. Here's the opposite. The same driver just goes to a different car. And, it's a challenge because you need to be efficient, you need to be quick, and there's a lot more to lose than to gain. In the end, we try to be as quick as possible, but safe. Putting the seat belts, everything perfect, because if you go out on track and something's wrong, something's not done, you have to come back in. So we try to practice that a little bit here just to make sure we have no mistakes during the race.
Well, specs-wise, we're currently running, it's a 200 kilowatt limit, and that's just for you warm-up qualifying. And then when it comes to race time, you have a 170 kilowatt limit. What was the idea behind putting a limit on power?
The idea is basically autonomy. We could race at 500 kilowatts, at 600 kilowatts, 1,000 kilowatts probably, and the cars will go really, really, really fast for 5 minutes. It's just basically a mathematical equation. If you reduce the power, you have more time of racing.
So you can race for longer. The first season, it was, I want to say, sort of control cars. So pretty much every car was exactly the same. How was that from an engineering standpoint? Was that frustrating, or was that...
I think it was a sensible thing to do to get the whole series off the ground. Now, of course, things have opened up. We've taken a slightly different viewpoint than others. We've kept some of the same things from the first year and focused more on software.
Looking just on paper, a lot of the cars, there's different formats this year. Some have got just a single motor, some have two, some have no gears, some go all the way up to 5 gears.
Correct.
What's Team Aguri doing?
So we've got 5 gears, so we've got a higher revving motor with more gears. As you said, other people have gone for the sort of more torque, but it has to spin faster because it's doing wheel speed.
So for qualifying, you've got 200 kilowatts, and at race time, you have 170 kilowatts. Do you want more? Are you hungry for more power?
I think the cars could take a bit more. I mean, the chassis and the aero and all that is good enough to take a bit more power, and for the drivers will definitely be a bit more fun.
And then you've added another interesting feature, which is fan boost. Now, this is something that I haven't really heard of in motorsport in the past. Essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, fans get to vote for their favourite drivers to get an extra boost whilst they're out on the track. Is that the basic?
That's exactly how it happens. So through social media, Facebook, fans vote. 3 guys get an extra boost of energy, the 3 most voted drivers. In the last race, actually, Lucas Di Grassi was running second, and he overtook the first with the fan.
Wow, and so helped him to win. So the drivers are okay with it? They think it's a good idea, and some...
Well, some complain a little bit, but you know, it's all about fan engagement. So some love it. Normally, the ones who get it like it, and the ones who don't get it don't like it.
Even though I'm actually an engineer by trade, let's call it, I still think that it's all about the fans and make it relevant. So I'm actually a fan of fan boost.
The ultimate idea of it is very good. It involves the people outside the racetrack, the guys who are watching on the grandstands, who support us at home or whatever, to be involved, to try and cheer for someone, help him have more power.
Would you mind? Now, I've always wanted to sit in a car like this, but everyone tells me I'm too big. Am I too big for one of these ones?
I can fit in this. I'm not sure I can drive it particularly comfortably, but if I can get in, I'm sure you can manage.
Okay,
so
is there a technique to
There is. So if you place 1 foot inside, let's put the harnesses back a little bit. Okay, so if you step in first, put your foot flat on the seat.
Flat on the seat.
Just mind the steering wheel column. We don't want to injure you.
Yeah, that's
And slide down.
So
and then you'll see that your legs can easily slide down into there.
Oh, wow.
The steering wheel, you'll be familiar, detaches. So we can reattach the steering wheel with this column. And there you go, you're good to go.
It's actually surprisingly cozy. How much does this car weigh? Because I can see it's just swathes of carbon fibre all the way around.
Absolutely. The big thing with the weight is the battery. So the battery alone is the largest weight. The whole car together is between about 650 to 700 kilograms.
Yeah, I really want to race one of these, but I'm pretty sure I know exactly where I would lose the race, and that's in pit lane doing the car swap, because I reckon getting out of this thing is going to be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, some of the guys, they have a real technique for jumping out the car and getting in the next one.
Do you see a scenario in the future where Formula E perhaps becomes the premier race in the world? Is there a point where we become faster, or to be fast, you have to be in an electric car?
I think we have to look at what is going to happen in the world, not in the world of racing, but in the world in general. And I'm convinced all cars in the world will be electric in a number of years. In some places in 10 years, in some places in 15, in 20 years, but in 30 years, all the cars in the world will be electric. At that point, Formula E will be the championship of the car that is in the street.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that all the championships are going to disappear. You know, there are still horse races.
Yeah.
And we don't go with a horse to the office.
Got you, yeah.
But, you know, Formula E will be the race of the technology that is used by the people.
Well, any race weekend in Long Beach is always a treat, and by combining close racing with new technologies and fan interaction, Formula E certainly brought the excitement. We can't wait to see the future of this series. For Translogic, I'm Jonathan Buckley. We'll catch you next time.